Hi, there is Bibi Cameron here, and today's video is a little bit different. I'm a member of Honeybee Stamps design team, and I have received some of the products you are going to enjoy and love from Honeybee and their new fall release. So next week they are going to be releasing new stamp sets every day, and I have to tell you, every day it gets better. The stamp sets are beautiful. I'm going to show you a sneak peek of the stamps or the images at the end of this video. So today I will be working with Happy for Y'all. I'm not sure if I said that properly, so I'm adding the name of the stamp set in the screen in this moment. And I was trying different things with the stamp set, trying to build different scenes, and all I had clear in my mind was that I wanted to add color to these images using Zigs. So I said that this video was going to be a little bit different because for the very first time I'm just making a project and I'm filming straight away. I'm not making a project and then filming after when I already know what to do. So it's also to show you the process, what happened with this card, and actually it happens a lot. So I have to change my initial or original idea to what it happens after. So if you notice, I stamp one panel using antique lining distress ink and the other one using Onix black Versafine ink that I love very much when I'm going to use this kind of water-based markers. So my intention with this panel here was creating an image without hard lines, or what people call no-line watercoloring. And yes, I was just starting, and then I have to stand up because the postman arrived. And then when I came back, I found this on my table. No, I just lost 10 minutes stamping. So I have to do it again. And it seems my son Harris is enjoying the Zigs as much as I do. So I have to start over. So that was the first thing that happens when I was trying to make my project for today. Okay, when Harris was happy completing these cards, I could come here and make the video again. So this is the stamp set I'm using today. It has 16 individual stamps. And as I wanted to enjoy coloring, I just wanted to build a scene with a lot of elements. And of course, I know the most elements I have stamped, I will need more time to color them. And that's what I wanted. So if you really like coloring, you can consider to make or to create a very busy scene and spend some time coloring and also getting practice. To stamp these images, I use my Team Holtz stamping platform and a very simple masking technique. I'm using post-it notes, but the pink post-it note you see there, it doesn't have a sticky side. So what I did was using the magnet to keep that paper in place, and that magnet held my mask in place. So this is how I stamped the scene. And to stamp the stem and the leaves of the flowers, I just use a clear block. It's kind of easy and quicker. And if you are stamping and the stamped image doesn't go complete, like this leaf there, don't worry at all. You can fix this when you are coloring. I tried to stamp again and I just didn't get it right. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to start coloring. And here are my markers. So all I'm going to do is applying washes of the color. I'm not going to do any fussy coloring. It's all loose and all spontaneous. I trace a circle around the center of the flower, and using a water brush, I spread that ink towards the edges of those petals. And then I start trying to define or add definition to those petals using a darker ink. In this case, it's an orange. I start with a yellow, then I go with an orange. And I'm going to use a dark orange and a red color to color those little petals that are in the back of the flower. And then I use a water brush to reduce the pigment of the ink and to blend everything together. And as I'm coloring, you will notice that I add on every petal every single color that I'm using in the whole scene. So if I use orange, every petal has a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, a little bit of brown, a little bit of black, a little bit of green. So it's kind of playing with the colors and trying to blend all together to get one solid image. And the paper you use is going to be your best friend. I'm using Bristol paper, and I have said in different videos before how important it is to use this paper or watercolor paper. 300 grams cold pressed watercolor paper. I'll allow the first wash of ink to dry. I'm spinning the camera so you cannot see the times just leaving this to dry, and then I come back with more color. I always start adding colors by applying the lightest color that I want in that image, and then I go over with darker and darker colors. And if you notice, I also add orange on the leaves. The only exception here are the bees. So I'm going to slow the camera here to show you how I add color to the bees. So what I do is apply the marker directly on the edges of the bee, and with the water brush I soften the color a little bit. And I'm going to leave this for a few seconds just while I add color to this bee here. And I'm going to do exactly the same. Something which is kind of cool about this bee and coloring is that she have the wings there, and it gives me the possibility to show you how I create a transparency. You will see that as I'm going. But basically what I do is applying the color just like normal, and I just leave this color to dry very well before applying any color on the wings, which in this case is going to be a light blue. There are several little steps I do to create that transparency, but it's really a very simple process. You might know it already, but if you don't know it, well, that's an opportunity to share. So I also wanted one of the bees to be black. I don't really know why, but in my head, the bees are black. So here I am applying the ink on the wings, and I also wanted to use my polychromos to add detail and contrast to the flowers. This was more an experiment, but ended up being my project for today's blog post. And I thought it was good enough to share as well. So what I did with the color pencils was adding lines and trying to create texture. So with the pencils, I add all the texture and also a little bit of the contrast that this image needs. So I want to show you here a close-up of those lines. So you see how it changed the image. Then I keep going, and this is so easy. I'm not really thinking in respecting every shape of the petals. I'm just going over them. And I'm also tracing some lines at the center of the flowers to give texture in that area there, and also at the edges of the leaves. And then I keep adding lines and details with the pencils here and there. And something super important, as I mentioned before in other videos, if I'm using different media, I'm still using the same colors. So I use the same yellow, brown, orange, black, blue, green, water-based markers, and those were the same colors I apply with the pencils. I also use white pencil as an extra to add color to the bees' wings, and to add shadows to those wings I also use a blue pencil, just like that. Then I decide to spoil my bee applying black color on her face. But I keep it. I just keep it. And I blend and soften the colors using a paper blending tool like so. I also use a black fine tip pen to add details and to trace the outlines of the bees like so. And as a final step on the coloring, I also use a black pencil to add shadows. I also use a white and a black fine tip pens to add dots on the center of the flowers and also the leaves and the white dots all over the place. I'm happy to leave my background like that, but at last minute I decided to add color. And after coloring, I stamped another elements in this scene and also the sentiment. It was looking pretty good to me. As you can see here, even the black bee, it was looking cute. But when I was, at some point, I was going over the image and I completely spread the ink on the sentiment on the sky. So I decided to trim the panel. So that was all the accents with this card, and I try hard to keep it and not send it to the paper craft heaven. So I just use this die, which is from Honeybee Stamps as well, and I love it. It creates that beautiful decorative stitched edge. So I decorated this panel here and also the back panel. And then I'm going to paste this on top of that panel, but first I'm going to glue to this panel this foam in the back. This is just craft foam. There is nothing special about that. And I just pasted there just to add a little bit of dimension. And this is another thing I do very often with my cards. So you can see there, it looks very even and very neat. So I really like to do this. Now let me show you a couple of cards I made using the same technique or the same crazy coloring I just applied here. So for this card, I just applied random colors all over. Then I came with a specific color in a specific area and I just add that color there, here and there. Especially the red one, which is so rich. With this one here was pretty much the same, but then I used different colors. I stamped with a navy blue ink, and then I also add full color at the background. It was completely white and it looks navy blue. And that's also using the Zigs. What an amazing colors. So I'm not kidding. I'm telling you the truth. They are amazing. Another thing I do when I'm creating a card is I just bring my backing papers and I just start seeing which color might be better. And after I put the card together and I see the video, I think I should choose this green color. But for some reason, I choose the sand color. I try blue and I also try to choose backing panels or the panel behind my scene to be in one of the colors I'm using in the front panel. And all I needed to do at this point was stamping the sentiment. I'm not worried about the dimension I add on the card because with stamping with the stamping platform, I won't have any problem at all. So I just stamp my sentiment like that and in the same way I stamped it before, but then it wasn't stamping. So I try again and I was thinking, what is wrong? You know, I don't know if you noticed that I put the magnets on top of the raised area of the card. So those magnets didn't allow the stamp to go completely down on the paper. So I just moved them from there and I was able to stamp my sentiment. This can happen to anyone, and I also want to keep this video very real. I could edit that part and just show you that it was perfectly stamped and that's it. But mistakes or little confusions are easy to have when you are crafting, and that's perfectly normal. You know, so many people ask me why I don't share often videos, and it's because I normally make the project, I finish completely the project as I say, and then after I film the video. And I found myself with too little time to repeat cards. So what I'm doing from now and ahead, let me know if you don't like this kind of videos. Of course, I can try to do it better. But what I'm going to do from now is I'm going just to film myself crafting that first project, and that's the project I'm going to share with you. It's just to be able to share more often. So yes, what I want is just to make it possible. And when I'm crafting, I try several things. For example, here I'm applying also Nuvo Gold Mousse on the flowers just to add a little bit of shimmer. And I splatter that Nuvo Gold Mousse in the background, as you can see there. And then I thought, oh, this needs another thing. And I just grabbed a black Nuvo Aquaflow pen. I put it on my glass mat, mix it with a little bit of water, and I splattered that on my background as well. Then I glued down that panel on a white card base, and I trimmed any white edge around that panel. So to rescue this card, I just make a lot of things. It's not always like that. I also like to apply Nuvo drops to embellish my projects, and that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and here you have a sneak peek of another 2 stamp sets that will be released by Honeybee Stamps this week. There are many more to choose, and what I did with these card samples was applying the same coloring on critters and dolls and vegetables, just to show you that my crazy coloring can be applied on anything and you can create something cheerful and bright. And all the links with supplies are in the video description. And in my blog today, I'm also sharing these 2 cards here. I made them using the same stamp set, same coloring technique, but a different layout. So that's all. Thank you very much for watching and happy crafting. Oh, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel and visit my blog for more ideas and inspiration. I also add the links to my social network in the video description. You can join me in Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. So let's keep in touch. Bye!